we have to start with the San Francisco 49ers, who I think had one of the most anticipated drafts, I think, in my lifetime. Like, when's the last time people were just on their heels, didn't know what the Niners were going to do, but they were excited at the same time? It was a weird feeling. And ultimately, I think if you talk to most Niner fans today, we feel pretty good about what the Niners did in the 2021 NFL draft. The first one, of course, is Trey Lance, chosen number 3 overall. And the one thing with this whole situation was people were fearful that Kyle Shanahan wasn't gonna pick one of these mobile quarterbacks, was really stubborn and trying to kind of go with what he knows, Kirk Cousins type of quarterback, like a Mac Jones. That's what people really feared. But when this pick was selected, I think the entire Niner fan base just erupted. They kind of forgot about Mac Jones for a second, forgot about Fields, just forgot about everything and focused and celebrated as if we had just won something. But it kind of felt like that. It feels like this guy, who we haven't drafted a quarterback this high since Alex Smith. And even then, that pick, people were super critical of it because Aaron Rodgers was skipped, right? And so this time in a very long time, I think at quarterback at least, everyone is kind of celebrating it, is on the same page, is happy about it. A lot of it has to do because of the speculation of Mac Jones being the pick. But ultimately, if you just remove that from the equation, I think it's still a solid pick. Trey Lance being a smart individual. Again, the knock is hasn't played a lot of games, but that's something he can't control, really. With the COVID season, can't really put that on him. Still a young man. I mean, he's going to turn 21 sometime this week. So he's not even legally at age to drink. So you couldn't celebrate the right way. But anyways, I'm excited about the pick. I haven't been this excited about drafting a quarterback in a very long time. But I think it's going to be worth it, man. And I can't wait to see Trey Lance training camp, preseason, and during the season if he beats out Jimmy Garoppolo, which a lot of people anticipate. So I think number 1, round 1 was a bank. And this kind of transitions me over to the second round pick in Aaron Banks. Now, in this spot here, I thought the Niners were going to go corner or wide receiver. I was leaning more corner. Some really good corners came off the board. Actually, let me pull that up here. In round 2, a lot of the top corners that kind of fell to the second round got drafted early, man. And here's a breakdown. Jaguars at 33 got Tyson Campbell, a really talented corner from Georgia. Eric Stokes, his teammate, went to the Packers in round 1. So it tells you a little bit about the Georgia corners, how highly they thought about him. And I thought Tyson Campbell would be the first one out of the 2. But Eric Stokes, being Eric Stokes, he got drafted first. High potential, has great speed. But Tyson Campbell, man, he's no scrub either. I would have loved if the Niners, if he would have fell to the Niners, I would have loved them to draft him. But he didn't. So there was another top corner taken off the board early. And then we talk about, what's the other one? Kelvin Joseph from Kentucky. Now, the Cowboys ended up taking him 44th overall. And another guy I was eyeing there at the Niners at, where were they? 43 originally? Yeah, 43, because they traded back with the Raiders. So this was really a surprise. I thought that the Niners would select them there. And Kelvin Joseph really went a pick later after they traded back. So it leads me to believe the Niners maybe had 1 or 2 guys that got picked early, but they weren't going to take a corner once one of their guys got taken off the board. So they ended up trading back and selected guard Aaron Banks. Now, Aaron Banks is he played left guard at Notre Dame, but he's a big fella, man. 6'5", 320 pounds, just a big physical tank. that just anchors down these defensive tackles, man. And I'm really excited about the pick. I know that a lot of people were just like, guard, that's kind of a surprise. In my eyes, is just reassuring, a nice, safe pick, and especially for protection for Trey Lance, who, you know, we don't want offensive line to be an excuse of why Trey Lance isn't performing. So again, doubling down at offensive line, I think, is a smart move. You all see these injuries that happen when a rookie quarterback comes in. They don't have protection, kind of like Joe Burrow last year. You don't want that to happen, knock on wood. So you get protection at offensive line. You get reinforcements. And I kind of dig the pick, man. Again, just the anchor, and just athletic too. For being that big, for being that amount of size, he really, at Notre Dame, there's a lot of plays where he's getting pulled on screens, and so he's not just a cement-footed type of guard that can't move. He really can for his size. So I kind of dig the pick. And the Niners traded back, 5 spots to pick him. So they traded with the Raiders at 43. The Raiders got a good pick, Trevon Moehrig. And then the Niners fell to 48, got Aaron Banks. So, solid pick. I think they went 2 for 2 here. The next pick here, this was third round now. We're looking at the third round. This was one of the most exciting picks in the third round for me. Trey Sermon, running back from Ohio State. Now, I love Sermon. He was a playmaker at Ohio. If you saw any tape from Justin Fields, it was hard not to see Trey Sermon perform. And you're wondering, who's that number 8 kid? And he was making some plays there. And the thing I love most about Trey Sermon, and the common theme about this whole draft for the San Francisco 49ers, were just simply they were getting players who were tough, physical. That was kind of their first trait. And Trey Sermon does not come short with any of that. He's a physical back. I think he's kind of like, think of it as a Tevin Coleman replacement. Tevin Coleman was brought here to try to get that short yardage situation and kind of can be a dual threat running back. At least that's what we thought in passing and in running. And that's what Trey Sermon brings. He's able to catch off the backfield and able to pick up those tough yards, and just a thumper, man. I really dig this pick, especially because they kind of made one of their, again, this theme is they're kind of making one of their strengths a bigger strength, if that makes sense. Like, they're really doubling down at some of these positions, running back being one of them, offensive line being another. And so when you think about it, running backs, you had Mostert, Hasty, Jeff Wilson Jr., Juszczyk. Of course, you want to throw the fullback in there in the conversation. But it's like, what's going to be the Niners' identity? It's clear that the Niners are going to want to run the football, run it down your throats with now Trey Sermon, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., and now Trey Lance. It's just the dual threat of either running back gets it or now your quarterback can take off. And getting physical is kind of the theme here. And I kind of like that, and I understand that. You want to come up with a plan as a GM, as an organization, of how to attack the draft. And I think the Niners didn't stray away from their plan. I think their plan was to get guys who were physical and guys that kind of fit the mold with now Trey Lance. So I kind of dig this pick, one of my favorite picks in the draft for sure. And I'm excited to see what Trey Sermon can bring to this Kyle Shanahan offense. So that was in round 3. Now, there was 2 selections for the Niners in round 3, Trey Sermon. And then we move on to cornerback from Michigan, Ambry Thomas. Now, Ambry, he's one of those guys. I feel like this was the Niners' first reach in terms of hoping that a guy pans out. And what I mean by that is, I think Ambry Thomas has all the physical attributes to be successful in this league, but he just has to put the pieces together. He just has to get a feel for the game and his technique. 6 foot, he's 6 foot tall, 190 pounds. Again, he's versatile. If you see a lot of his highlights, he's kick return, punt return. I've even seen him taking some snaps on offense. So a kid that's really talented, but just needs to put the pieces all together. And Michigan, for at least for the Harbaugh career right now, has struggled defensively. So hoping that maybe a new system, new coaches can kind of develop him. In Ambry Thomas, I think this was the first, okay, was this your actual selection, or did your guys actually fall and you missed out? Because when you look at the draft, when you look at the later round, Trey Sermon was selected 88th. And then we had another pick. When was it? Yeah, 102. So he was 102nd pick in the 2021 NFL draft. But look at the top two, the two picks prior to Thomas was, so the Titans at 100 selected Elijah Molden from Washington. That was another corner that was selected. And then at 101, the Detroit Lions selected one of my favorite guys coming out, Afatu Melifonwu from Syracuse. So I was like, oh, I hope he falls to them. I hope he falls to them. And when they made that selection, I'm like, now I'm thinking, like, what do the Niners do here? They went corner, they went Ambry Thomas, but I'm thinking, did the Niners miss out and selected maybe their second to third guy on their draft board that they wanted in this round? Who knows? We'll never know. They're always going to say Ambry Thomas was our guy, that we were targeting him. Of course, that's the right thing to say during this situation. But my mind has me thinking Melifonwu would have fit this system perfectly. He's like a physical dude. Let me pull up I really loved his game. He has sort of like it would have fit the mold of what they were trying to do, like being physical at the line of scrimmage. 6'2". So, talking about the length of corners, what the Niners like, kind of like in Seattle, he fit that mold. And he's 6'2", 200 pounds, 205 pounds. So I feel like the Niners were targeting him. Detroit ended up selecting him a pick before. So we ended up getting Ambry Thomas. Again, Ambry really has all the physical attributes. If you look at some of the weaknesses here, some hip tightness in his transitions. He does get handsy in some of his press man there. But he's one of those guys that can play both man-to-man and kind of zone. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. I'm still 50-50 on it. I don't know what the Niners are going to do with him. I don't think he's an absolute starter off the gate. I think there's someone that you have to develop. It's a wait and see for me. Now let's talk about the next selection. Now we're moving on to the 5th round. If we didn't know by now, the Niners wanted physicality. And they're like, okay, we have Justin School, who's a little bit on the lighter side. We have Sean Coleman. We don't know what he's going to bring. He kind of opted out last year. So do we need another swing tackle is the mentality here. And given the current state of what they're trying to do, you want guys who can, if something happens, they could come in and fill in really quickly. And I think this is why the 49ers went with Jalen Moore from Western Michigan. Again, another length is key at tackle, 6'4", 311 pounds. He's physical, powerful, but again, he can move for his size. I know John Lynch said this in a press conference. He was like, I know a lot of people think that Kyle Shanahan wants a smaller O-line so they can move, so they can be able to move, pull, and he says, if you can get both size and ability to move, that's the home run type of call. We're seeing that with Aaron Banks, and now we're seeing that again here with Jalen Moore. Just physical at the line of scrimmage, great in run block, just a depth move at the position. Again, you want to bring reinforcements. You don't want to have no ifs and buts at offensive line. I understand it, and I love it. Just being physical. Any guy you bring in is going to bring that physicality, bring that mindset. And so I kind of dig this pick again. Not the sexy pick. Again, people were looking for wide receiver at this spot. Not the sexy pick, but a pick that is going to benefit you long term, especially with a rookie quarterback. I can't, stress that enough. This is an important, like this swing tackle role is important in case injuries happen. I understand it. And so to me, it was a no-brainer to bring him in, especially for competition-wise. And I think Jalen Moore is one of those guys that does make the team. He's going to come in to compete with Justin School and Sean Coleman. But if I had to guess, he makes the team. Then we look at another DB they took, the Amador Lenoir, DB out of Oregon. I understand the pick, trying to bring in another corner, but still have yet to see like what he can really bring. I think he's more of a nickel corner, if anything. I doubt is someone you play outside unless he's like super active and just super like handsy at the line of scrimmage, which he can be, but he's on the shorter size. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. He has the body. He has the body type, but I don't know if he has the length to play outside. He's more of a slot, covering the slot type of dude. So maybe they use him to like as a backup for K1. I'm sure he'll be great in special teams, but just another guy like Ambry Thomas needs to put the pieces together, and maybe a year of development will benefit him. So I'm really looking forward to like what the DBs can bring to the Niners, because honestly, I'm not too high on them, but I'm not going to write them off either. It's a wait and see for me. And then we move on to was it the last pick of the 5th round? I really love this kid, Talanoa Hufanga, and he's a safety at USC, 6 feet, 199 pounds, so basically 200 pounds. He's one of those guys that not only could play like free safety, he could be like a strong safety / linebacker hybrid. Sort of how I know we've seen this a lot from Tart. We've seen it from Marcel Harris, where they just play in the box and they could be literally another linebacker. And this is the type of dude that can really be special, and he has the right mindset. He's one of those like high motor type of guys, and I really love watching his tape. He's really good at tackling. His speed is questionable. I think he ran, what was it, 4.61 40 time. But to me, it's all about angles if you're playing safety. So if you get the right angle, then you should be fine. But if you're in the box, I feel like with a crowded, 8, 9 people in the box, I think he will succeed. And I think he will do great things, especially if you start him off as special teams. I'm excited to watch this guy. I really hope that he's like, he could turn into a fan favorite if he makes the team. That's how much I really think of him. And he has the athletic ability. What I liked, it was like an interception he had, and then he's jumping over people. He's like hurdling, like if he's Saquon Barkley. Like, doesn't have the speed, but he has the athletic ability to play the position. Again, if you're going to be a DB in this league, you have to be athletic enough to at least cover these, let alone stay hit by them. But he's not going to be playing a lot of man anyways. Like, I wouldn't put that on him. He's more of a zone type of guy. And again, if he gets the right angles, then he's going to succeed at safety. But again, he kind of was used like a Jamal Adams at USC. Comes with the blitz. You could play him in the box. You could play him up high at free safety. So really just a hybrid type of player. Player comp, Troy Polamalu. I'm not saying that's him. But just to have a comparison, that's who he reminds me of. And I hope that he can be some like anywhere near close to that. Niners hit a home run. But I love what he brings. I love his personality, and I just can't wait to see him perform. So we have one more pick for the Niners. Yeah, Elijah Mitchell, running back. Again, pretty much tripling down on the strength, right? And at this point, what do you have, like 6 running backs on the roster? Yeah, not all of them are going to make it. So it'll be interesting to see how the 49ers approach this. Elijah Mitchell is one of those guys that are like in the bubble type of thing. And but he's kind of a dual threat, can catch off the backfield, can pick up those tough yards as well. So I wouldn't rule it out, practice squad type of player, but it really just depends on what the Niners do with the rest of the running backs. Right now they have a surplus at running back. Maybe they're adding one more running back to the roster, subtracting one more receiver. Who knows? We just don't know what the 49ers are thinking at offense right now, but we'll find out pretty soon when training camp hits later on this year. But if you look at it, all the picks, you're looking at offensive line, running back, sprinkling some DBs, right? And for that reason, I give this draft a solid A minus. The reason I give it an A minus and not an A or an A plus, I really feel like the Niners did miss out on some great corners that could kind of plug in and start right away. Melifonwu, who went in the third pick right before, who was it, Ambry Thomas? I think he was a plug-in type of starter that could have started for you this upcoming year. They missed out on that, but with some of the trades, they did get a good running back in Trey Sermon. They did get a good, maybe long-term guard answer in Aaron Banks. They got some depth at tackle, Jalen Moore, and maybe the quarterback for 10 plus years to come in Trey Lance. And to me, you can't argue with that recipe. Again, this was a team that didn't have a lot of holes to begin with entering the draft. And I feel like they really made some areas who were maybe just a injury away from being like a weakness in running back and offensive line. They turned that into an automatic strength.